what can people expect from this run? Is this more of the Killer Kelly that fans have come to know and respect, or is this something a little different than what you've done in the past?
Um, it's okay. So what they saw on television on NXT, that wasn't me per se. I never got that time to come out of my shell and show people what I got. Like basically I was just there to fill a spot, which I'm not like, I'm totally okay with that. Like my job was to make other people look good, and that is great. That means that they trust me to do that. But like the spotlight wasn't on me. So finally here with Impact, I feel like the spotlight is on me, and I can finally come out of my shell, and I can finally show everyone what the original Killer Kelly was supposed to be. So this is like a lot of years in the making. Like in the indies, I kind of show that, but never fully. And in WXW, I didn't show that at all because I was like in the ring, I showed the Killer Kelly, but outside the ring, I showed like this bubbly person that I am, because I'm very grateful and very happy to be where I am.
Right.
So that's what I showed, because that was my home. Like I felt so comfortable. I was 100% myself. Like I didn't hide it at all. But and now it's finally gonna be like me up 1,500%, 1,500. Okay, because this is America, it's 1,500. 1,500%. And it's basically going to be everything that I am, everything that I like. So like I love horror. I love everything about serial killers. I love the like to know what clicks in their mind, in their brain. I love the psychology about it. Like I love everything about it, and this Killer Kelly is gonna show that. Gonna be very psychological. It's basically gonna be like something really, really fun for me.
That's cool. And I think Impact's a good place for that. I mean, already in the Knockouts division, I mean, that this isn't exactly what you're describing, but like certainly you have Rosemary and Havoc, who have these kind of darker personas.
Like Supernatural.
Supernatural. Yeah, exactly the word I was looking for. And then you have like a Masha Slamovich, who's just very cerebral and calculating and has that aura about her. And just a lot of great athletes there. I memean, so you were there before, and you had a few matches. What drew you back there? Because there's potential options all over the world. You've a big name in Europe. There's a lot of places you can compete here in the States. Why Impact?
So basically, as you know, the world ended. And so I was stuck so the world ended when I was in Germany, right after 16 Carat. So I was stuck in Germany, and I got stuck there for half a year, up until I finally went back home, because I stayed in Germany because I was like, okay, this is all gonna be okay in a few months. I'm just gonna stay here, continue to work with WXW, blah blah blah. But it didn't get better. Like I wasn't making any money whatsoever. Like basically, and literally, I've been out of the job. Like I couldn't. Like I had no income. That's why I started like twitching and stuff like that. So after 6 months, I had to go back to Portugal. And all that time, I was just looking into ways to come back to America, mainly to be with my then boyfriend, now husband, Alexander James. Yeah, thank you. So I was looking every freaking avenue, and finally I got the whole loop, Mexico loop. So I went to Mexico, 2 weeks in Mexico, got engaged in Mexico, went to the States, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, I don't need to wrestle. What I wanted was to be with my fiance, and just relax, because it was like a very, very, very hard time for me. Like, I discovered a plenitude of mental illnesses that I had.
Right.
And yeah, I just went rock bottom, and even lower than rock bottom. So when I was in the States here for the first time during the pandemic, I didn't even look to wrestle. But Josh Barnett contacted me again. He said, well, since you couldn't do the blood sport because of the pandemic, we're going to do it again. Please be a part of it. And I was like, of course, fuck yeah. That like, I was so looking forward to it. And then I wrestled for Black Label, and still I wasn't looking for anything. Like, I had some contact with AEW, but I didn't have a visa. So I couldn't do anything. But then Impact contacted me, and they said, you can come here, like, for us to see you and whatnot. And I was like, oh fuck, that's cool. Okay, like, I'm not doing anything right now, so I'll go. And then I had those 2 matches, and one thing that no one knows, that it's gonna be exclusive. I got offered the contract right there and then. So it was literally 2 matches, contract on the same day. I review it, blah blah blah. Long story short, I accepted it, and I was contracted by Impact. But I had to go back to Portugal, and the whole hiring process started with the visas and stuff, and it was the most awful process ever. Yeah, because the embassies weren't doing anything. The Portuguese embassy wasn't accepting wrestling as a reason as to have a visa, a work visa. Yeah. So it was horrible. Like, everything went downhill. Like, I arrived in Portugal ready to move to America, expecting that I was going to move in 1-2 months. Stay there for almost a year. Like, Impact tried everything, like literally every single thing. Like, they were great. Literally, like, every 2 days they were in contact with me, checking on me, because they also knew about my mental issues. So I was literally going crazy. So nothing was working, nothing at all. So I made a decision of, okay, so if the whole embassy thing is not working here in Portugal, I'll just go to the States. Like, I'll do the whole Mexico route again. So I went to Mexico again, 2 weeks, all by myself.
So this is a quarantine. Sorry to cut you off, but like, because you couldn't go directly from Portugal to the US for either, which side was keeping you out? Was it us or was it
America?
Okay.
Yeah,
because we were very good at that.
For some reason they were like, oh, if you fly directly from Europe, you can't enter, but if you fly from another country, you can enter.
Work around.
Okay, like, what the fuck? Whatever. Okay, I'll do it. 2 weeks in Mexico, fine.
Yeah.
And then I finally landed. The process started all over again, the visa process, because we had to start it all over again, because now I'm in the States. Quick fun thing. When I entered the United States, like, I was never stopped ever by immigration, ever. That was the day that I was stopped, and oh god, it was awful. They put me in a room just asking me questions. I was like, what? I'm just here to be with my fiance. Like, what the fuck? Please let me in. Like, what are you doing? Because at that point, like, I didn't even start anything like job related, like anything at all. I was there mainly, I was for to be with my fiance. That was it.
Yep.
But like, they grilled me, and I was like, okay, everything went wrong for the past a year. Of course, now I'm gonna be sent back to Portugal. Of course. But no, everything worked out. I started the whole process, the hiring process with Impact. It still took a while, but so I arrived in August. Everything was good to go in April. April? Yeah, April.
Okay.
So
Wow.
in April, no, May. I'm sorry, May.
Yeah.
It took a while, yeah, but finally, like as soon as I got the okay for everything, I got my work card, my green card, like I got everything. So now I'm ready to rock and roll.
Did you find that some of that was a little bit easier once you were married, or was it like, yeah?
Yeah. Well, the lawyers kept saying that it might not be easier because that is the like whole illegal route that people take. Not illegal, but you know,
No,
the 90-day fiance kind of stuff. Like, I'm
sure.
just gonna get married like an mail order bride or whatever. We had to prove our relationship. Like, it was a tedious process. We had to literally screenshot every single thing on social media, ask people to write letters proving our relationship, our families, everything. Like, it was horrible. Like, how can I prove this? They even asked for text messages and phone logs. I'm like, oh, okay, this is fucking weird, but
That's so intrusive. That's ridiculous.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's awful. And now that everything is like good to go, they might still come to our home just to check everything.
Oh, come
So
on.
I still don't know. Yeah. It's freaking weird.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but everything is good to go. I also had like my nose surgery, which was a fun thing because I broke my septum. It's like completely broken. I couldn't breathe at all. That's why I had those 3 matches, and I said, okay, guys, I can't wrestle anymore because I couldn't breathe at all.
This is last fall, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't breathe at all. Like, even the folding my clothes. One day I was folding my clothes and I lost my breath. That was the day that I was like, okay, I need to check this out. Then I found out that my septum was broken. I couldn't breathe very properly. I also found out that to fix my septum and have a full-on surgery would be 100K plus. And I was like, that is not cool. So I went other route. I did like a balloon septoplasty, which is a very weird stuff, where I had local anesthesia, which didn't work for me. Like, they had to put the anesthesia 3 times and they couldn't put more because it would do something harmful. I felt everything. Like, literally, they went up my nose with like a thing this size, blew, like they put a balloon on my like my septa, whatever. They blew the balloon. They sucked it all out. Like, it was an awful experience. Like, it was half an hour of pure pain. Pure pain is awful. But then, yeah, I can breathe 30% better, 40% better, which is great, but still I need a surgery. So yeah, that is it.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot. But it's interesting because, you know, we've been in touch over Twitter through, and I forget when we did the 12 questions for the magazine a while back.
Yeah.
So we're in touch around that. We were in touch around, oh, here's a copy of the magazine you're in. And then, I don't know, like at some other point. And some of these gaps, I was like, wait, what's happening now? Like, your nose is hurt. And wait, you're back in Portugal? What's happening? Like, you were over here. This does fill in some of those gaps a little bit. Like,
oh God, yeah.
Obviously, you were having to juggle some stuff around. And I mean, I have a friend who moved over to London who grew up near me, but you know, it was same thing that it was. You know, her now husband is over there,
Yeah.
And they would really grill her the more she went over there. And they had to use different visas at different points. Like, okay, now I'm on a student visa. Now I'm on a partner visa. Okay, I'm back to a work visa at this point, because it's however you can make it work. And I think one
Yeah.
thing that people don't realize, and this is where Impact has been really helpful, I think, especially as a promotion, and WWE as well, and AEW, but getting a work visa to compete as a wrestler in the US is really difficult. It's expensive. Even if you have the money, you need somebody to sponsor you. You have to prove
Yeah.
that there's a legitimate reason for you to be there. Like I've talked we do an indie wrestling podcast, and I talked to Lufisto for that. And it was like a similar thing. It's always really difficult to get in and get work, and you can get a visa for a little while, and then maybe it expires. Or in her case, I know she had to go home to Canada because she had to get a surgery done. And I mean, very well how expensive surgery can be.
Mhm.
So it is a lot just to deal with that on its own. But on top of that, I mean, one, I think it's really cool that you were meant to be with Impact this entire time. And I was kind of wondering, like, like you would think that Kelly would stay there because she seems like a really good fit for that division.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe either one of them's not happy for whatever reason, but behind the scenes, you're really trying to do this whole time.
Oh my
Um,
God. Like reading all the tweets, like even Gail, she would send me tweets, and like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I don't know. Well, last time we were together, she was like, oh my God, the quantity of tweets that I got for the last 2 years of people saying, Gail, come on, what about Kelly? Impact, come on, what about Kelly? What are you doing? When is Kelly? Like, what the fuck is happening? And me behind the scenes just being like, we're trying.
right. And you don't want to give away the surprise, and you don't want to make it
Yeah.
look like Impact can't execute this, because that's not the problem. It's governmental red tape. That's not. But like, so first of all, you're dealing with, I mean, we should get into, and I know some of this is kind of a bummer to talk about, but like, long distance relationship can be challenging on its own. You found a way to make that work.
Yeah.
You were in WWE and then you weren't. And we've talked about that a little bit before too. Like it was good to be there, but also there's a lot of other stuff you can do outside of WWE.
Exactly.
But it's really got to take the wind out of you a little bit when the pandemic hits, was it 2 months after? And European wrestling, really, I mean, it's like just gotten back in recent, sometime late last year, right? Like where it got back. I think even like the 16 karat was limited capacity this year, I think still. And so it really is tough. Were there ever times where you thought like, okay, like do I need to consider maybe another career here, because this is really hard and I don't know if I can make it work?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like so going back like 2 years, after WWE, like my brain switched. I was so happy because I could do everything. And once I got that ball rolling, the pandemic happened. So I was just like, okay, this is going to be really, really tough. And like, it was everything, like professionally, health-wise, my relationship, like it was everything. I was like, okay, I can't do anything. I am stuck. I consider like multiple times not wrestling anymore. Even worse with the nose injury. I was like, oh man, every single time that I keep trying to get back to wrestling, something shitty happens. Like there's always something shitty happening. Like I am through with this. Like I'm exhausted. And then finding out the whole, like I had severe depression, severe anxiety, and I also recently found out that I have ADHD. So it's like,
hey, me too. High five.
Yeah. Yay. How great are like the medication? How great is it to pop that pill and then just be like, oh,
you feel normal?
Yeah.
Normal, but but yeah, I would come home from work like mentally exhausted, and eventually I made the connection that it was not just. I mean, sometimes we overwork ourselves, right? But it's
Yeah,
also no. There's chemically your brain can only handle so much, and it's zipping all over the place all the time.
exactly. I was like, that is why I yawn. Like since I can remember, I yawn like 300 times per day. I'm always yawning. I'm always tired. I'm always exhausted.
Yeah,
And finally, like 3 months ago, I was like, okay, I need to check on this ADHD thing. And I do have it and
yeah,
explains a lot in my life, like a lot, everything, like wrestling related, the whole like me learning moves. I remember me being in wrestling school and being so frustrated because I would hear it, but I can't assimilate it. Like I can't comprehend it up until I can like do it with my hands, and
yeah,
repeat it like 30 times. And
yeah.
then it starts to sink in because my brain is all
Sure.
around. Like the wrestling coach was explaining something. My brain was focusing on the sound that it was making on the, I don't know, on the ceiling,
Sure.
and someone tying their shoes next to me. Like all makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's a lot to have dealt with. And I mean, you made this post, and I believe this was before your nose injury, but like you kind of said, "Hey, listen, I've been struggling with mental health, and I was just diagnosed with these things, and I feel really good about this because this is I know what I'm up against, and I can go and work on
Yes,
making this better." And that's, I mean, that really resonated with a lot of us reading it because it's not something. I think it's gotten better with people talking about it in recent years, but it's still kind of sort of like
exactly.
a stigma attached to it.
Yeah, like me just finding that out at I don't know, 28, 29, 30, whatever.
Yeah,
um like my family never talked about mental health ever. Like I remember me just struggling with stuff and just trying to like find a reason to, like, why am I like this? Like, why is this happening with me? And my family is always like the brush it off type and man up type. So that's why, like, I also have like a very strong personality because of that. Because I'm always like, okay, yeah, brush it off. I'll just continue doing this, whatever, brush it off. But I never got well. And once I knew what was happening, I was like, okay, I need to like share my story with people because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people like me that their family just doesn't acknowledge their issues, their partners don't acknowledge their issues, etc., etc. So once I did that, it was like a relief, people knowing what is actually uh wrong with me, not wrong, what's actually up with me.
yeah, yeah.
And my story might help a lot of people finding that for themselves. So that, like, it made me feel very good sharing.
Yeah, and it's still a process, of course, to deal with it. It's something that you don't just do this and then everything is quote unquote better. Like it's just you learn this about yourself, and then you can recognize certain things. And I think you certainly with the ADHD, but I think you also talked about other issues that you were having, medication being helpful, or at least that's what the avenue that you were going down.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it was like testing a bunch of medications, and that was exhausting as well. Like
sure.
the doses, everything. Like my mood went up, down, zombie, uh, extra activity. Like it was a journey.
Right. Now, is this around that time? Because I think there was about a year where you were inactive while you were trying to get everything together with Impact. Then, of course, you had, the three matches. Was this a situation of you were trying to focus on your mental wellness? Was it you weren't able to get the paperwork in line to work like indie dates, or like what was going on there? Was this an intentional choice, or was it more of another like a circumstantial thing?
No, it was intentional because of my nose. I couldn't breathe.
Oh, right. So that injury, but that happened. Was
So
that?
this is really weird. So
Okay.
I broke, so I had the nose injury. It was, I don't know, I want to say 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago at Eve. I remember it was me versus Jordan versus Kaylee Ray versus Charlie Morgan. It was a four-way match.
Mhm.
And Jordan German suplexed me while I was German suplexing Kaylee Ray.
Mhm.
And by some weird thing that happened, Kaylee elbowed me on the nose and I started bleeding during the match. Which I was like, okay, it's just like, whatever. I never checked on it. Never,
Mm.
ever. But I started like slowly but surely noticing that I couldn't breathe that well. And maybe it was a mix of the medication, which makes my mouth very dry,
Mhm.
um, with not being able to breathe properly and probably, wrestling on it and getting worse and worse and worse. Uh, I went to the point where I couldn't breathe. Like I did, which was my first match back. It was with Kylie Ray at Black Label.
Mhm.
And I remember doing that match, and I got to the point where I couldn't breathe like after 2 minutes in. And I had like to tell Kate, like, slow down a little bit. I can't breathe. Let me rest. And to the point where when you can breathe, um, it cuts oxygen to your brain. And I couldn't think. I didn't even know where I was. Uh, and it got worse on my match at Beyond versus Layla because it was the heat, the sun, me not being able to breathe, my
Oh,
mouth
this was was that the beach show?
yes, mouth super dry, and plus the anxiety of being like the main event
Uh-huh.
and my debut on Beyond, and it was everything like 2-3 minutes beginning of the match. I don't remember anything. Like it cut my oxygen completely, and uh, I don't know, I went into robot mode. And then I had my match with Roxy. Same thing happened. The 2-3 minutes, I was already dying. And then, since I was dying, some freak accident happened, and she kneed me on the eye. So my eye started swelling up, and I had like a big bruise. So I couldn't see from one eye. I couldn't breathe. I was dying. I don't know how I finished that match. We went like what, 15 minutes?
Uh-huh.
And I did everything that we were supposed to. But I don't know how I went, like how I did it. And then like after that weekend, I went to the gym. I did some squats. I felt so lightheaded, like everything was spinning around. I was like, okay, might there be an issue? Then I went home, started folding laundry. I got up and I almost fell down, like I couldn't see anything. I was like, okay, I need to fix this. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this is obviously a really severe injury that got worse over time.
Yeah.
But you're feeling much better now, presumably.
Yes, much better. Not 100%, but much better.
But part of it is that you do have to kind of carefully ramp up a little bit. Like you have to, you couldn't go like 0 to 60 anyway. Like to some extent, you're going to be testing yourself. But I'd imagine when you get back in the ring, I'm sure you've been practicing already, right?
Yes, I had to.
Yeah. And I don't, I don't know. I mean, are there some nerves with going back and doing a match in front of people after this time? And
Yes, I am terrified. I'm terrified. Like
yeah.
I've been training a lot. I've been doing a lot of cardio based stuff. I feel like my breathing is improving in ring, my cardio in ring is improving, everything is improving, but it's not 100% yet. And like there's a lot of factors that make it harder, the whole medication thing. Like I'm taking 3 types of medication that it says right there on the label that it causes dry mouth. So imagine 3 of those plus my mouthpiece. plus not being able to read, like I am working on it really, really hard, really, really hard. And I've been testing myself and everything is okay so far, but this is going to be the first time after everything that I'm going to wrestle in front of people. And debuting as a knockout, like I am terrified. I'm terrified.
So I think like one thing, like obviously got to take care of yourself, even if you feel ready to go back. I mean, we all saw Cody Rhodes with the torn pec and how horrifying.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like,
I would never do that.
right. So it looks, I mean, I think I sent the guy a message afterwards, like, look, I'm very impressed with what you just did. Please never do that again. Like, it's not a good idea. But like the reality is that this is a very physical sport. I mean, the sport element is still there, regardless of how the matches are put together. And just because something's predetermined doesn't mean that there isn't like a high athletic component to it, especially the style you wrestle. Because I think you're known for this very physical style, and you would want to be able to deliver on that as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you have to do it safely. And I mean, I always think of like, Bryan Danielson when he was out for several years, and he's known for this really smash mouth intense style. But of course he had this history of concussions, and it's like, this is part of why you had the issue. So like, you need to be taking care of yourself while you're, adapting your style. So, does your in-ring style change a little bit because of this? Or do you think it's just learning how to do things differently so that you protect yourself?
Learn how to do things differently. Yeah. The style is going to be the same. Because I've always had this style and I've always protected myself and always protected people. So every single one of my moves is like, okay, can I do this safely to the other person? And can this person, if anything goes wrong, take it safely? Like it's always on my mind. Like I'm always so worried about everything. Always.
Sure.
Like everything, like it's ridiculous. Like I worry too much.
But it can be good to a point because you're being careful, and if you take care of your opponent like that, then presumably you can also take care of yourself.
Yes, exactly. Like it's a great trait to have. I wish more people had it, but it exhausts me being that way. That's why I don't do like anything flashy at all. I don't do, I don't know, whatever. I don't do it because I'm very like overly protective about me and the other person. Anywho, so the only thing that I had to change is up my cardio. Like I've never been a fan of cardio exercises and whatnot. So that is the factor that it's gonna keep me going and enable me to still have the same in-ring style and do the same stuff. Because if I can't breathe, I can't do anything. So yeah.
And has I don't know if you can talk about this or not, but I mean, your husband is a trainer with WWE now, and has he been helping you with this, like getting back into ring shape and all that?
Oh yeah, of course. He's been into several schools around Florida with me, and we've been training around the house. We've been training. We're just like, okay, lock up with me. Do this.
You're gonna have to set a ring up at some point.
Yeah. So we've been like, he's been helping me a lot, especially mentally, because I doubt myself a lot. You have no idea how much I doubt myself. And this whole coming back and not being able to perform or be at the level that people expect me to be, like it's taking a toll on me mentally. Even though like AJ keeps saying, you'll do great. Like I've seen you train, like you're fantastic. You're better than before. Like just relax. And I'm like, I want to relax, but I can't.
Right. It's a vote of confidence for him to say that, though.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I've got to imagine too, you've had this relationship that, I mean, he was when you were released from WWE, he was your boyfriend, then he was your fiance. Now you're married and living together and going on this journey together, you know, in the same country for one, which is a good thing. But, you know, I'm sure it was stressful for him as well. But I would think having him there as the supportive partner has been really important to you being able to do this, getting through the mental health issues and learning how to cope there, dealing with your physical injury, and then, you know, having the confidence to go back and wrestle on television again in this, I mean, let's face it, more prominent role, because Impact is on cable TV in the US and is seen all over the place.
Yeah. So. Like he's helping me a lot with all of that. Like there is even a bunch of stuff that happened. Just like if I didn't have him, I don't know. Like I went through that in Portugal. That's why I got so mentally low and mentally down. Like if I had AJ there, I'm pretty sure I would be okay. But it's like I can see the difference of having him and not having him. So I'm really glad that I have him.
Yeah, and I think one thing to keep in mind is that like the best partner helps make you your best self. We've been talking a while, and I don't want to take up any more of your time, but we should ask, as far as because you're in Impact and has this famously just very talented division. Who do you have your eye on? Who do you want to mix it up with in the ring?
Oh God, I want to mix it up with everyone. Like, oh my God, like every single person. Like I was watching the tapings. No, I was at the tapings and I'm watching everything like behind the curtain, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, I want to wrestle her. And I want to wrestle the guys too. Like I want to wrestle everyone. Like I want to wrestle Jordan again. I want to wrestle Deanna for the first time. I want to wrestle Masha for the first time. I want to wrestle every single person on the Knockouts division.
It's such a great. There's not. I mean, there's not duds when you're on TV, but like nobody even approaching. Just everybody is like world class.
Yeah.
Wrestled the best, trained with the best.
Yeah, that's what makes me even more anxious. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be part of like a great division. Oh fuck.
It's I will say, I think the first time that my wife at least saw you wrestle was that match with Miko Satomura at the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
And I think she hadn't seen either of you wrestle before. And of course, just everyone talks about how amazing that match was. And Mako is one of the best in the world, but she's not going to get in there and have a match of that quality and with just anybody. You know, there's always jokes about people can like have a good match with a broom, but the reality is it takes two to tango. You need a good dance partner. Yeah. If you can get in there with her and like hang with her, then I think you'll be good. You got a tough competition in this division, but you'll
thank you.
thrive. Yeah. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, Impact also lets, there's not really any gender restrictions on these other titles. So you could go look for the digital media title that Jordan Grace held. You could challenge for the X Division belt, maybe even the world title. We don't know. I mean, there's lots of opportunity there. So
yeah, and that is amazing. And like all the companies that they work with, like who knows, New Japan.
Oh, and then by proxy Stardom as well. And all this
like it's the land of opportunities with Impact. I'm so excited.
That's amazing. Okay, well, before I let you go, is there anything else you want to tell our readers? Yeah, that's always tough, right? Like,
it's the toughest question. I don't know. I hope I make them proud. I hope that I deliver what they expect of me and more. And basically that's it. And keep supporting me, please.